For me, a bike is a creative vessel, or a vessel by which I bring things to life. It puts me in a state of constantly evaluating the terrain or the landscape and thinking about how I might interact with it, what I could do that is maybe a slightly different approach or something that feels the way that I want riding to feel. I'm Bailey Van Etten. I'm the industrial designer for Terravale. We've been working on 3 new tires for Terravale, the Clifty, the Drawpoint, and the Camrock. These are all mountain bike tires, starting from a cross-country tire in the Camrock, going to what we've been calling a down-country tire for the Drawpoint, and then kind of an all-around, all-mountain tire for the Clifty. I live in Bellingham, Washington. I'm lucky enough to live in Bellingham, Washington. Obviously a ton of terrain here, a really wide variety of terrain. So it makes you feel like you're just in a mountain bike video, going through this little ribbon of single track that has neon green moss on each side of it and Dr. Seuss trees everywhere, and like you can feel the dirt flinging up off your back tire and hitting you in the back of the neck. Even though it's such a great place to ride anywhere you live, if you're riding the same stuff over and over again day after day, it's really easy to encounter at least some version of boredom. And when I was working on these tires, I was thinking about what would I want to do if, you know, I've got 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, whatever kind of ride it is that I'm going for. What can I do to change up the way I'm looking at it to make it feel a little bit different, and what might I be able to hand to another person and be like, hey, normally you ride a big heavy downhill tire on these trails. What if you took something that is a little bit different than what you're used to, but it'll still get you down the hill, and maybe you'll just approach the corners different, or the jumps different, or maybe you'll go slower or faster. And I think that a lot of people probably would find that a less aggressive looking tire is just as capable for 90% of the riding they do. I think it can be pretty informative and open up a new way of looking at some old trails for sure. Kind of an example of the process, how we just sketch over it and around it, next to it, with obviously really rough ideas and all the different stuff that goes into our thinking around how we make decisions. Yeah, scoopy is a technical term. Of the 3 tires, my favorite is the Drawpoint. That one's really influenced and inspired by modern short travel bikes. Its main goal is to do as much as possible to maximize how rider input for those bikes can really bring them to life and make them shine on the trail. The harder you try to flick them around and push through things, the more fun they are to ride. With tires like the Drawpoint, that's kind of what I was thinking about, was like, knowing what I know about riding these shorter travel bikes, what if I make the perfect tire for that, where the tire is set up to react to those inputs as best as possible. When I'm pedaling around, it's still super fun to try to like hit a stump or look at a weird section of trail or a weird bump and try to figure out how you might be able to kind of pull up off of it or wiggle around it. When you've got a light tire, you're maybe more willing to experiment and try some of that stuff than if you were lugging around a 1,500 gram downhill tire. You get pretty tired pretty quick. To some extent, the tire enables it technically, but I think to an even greater extent for me, it's more just conceptually. The tire motivates me to do stuff differently. There's a hope and a chance that people see a relatively unique tire and it gives people a little bit of motivation or inspiration for them to maybe think differently about whatever trail they've ridden the most, the hundreds of times or the thousands of times. Maybe they can find a new little side hit or a new little feature to bonk, or just a different way down than they'd realized was there before. And maybe these tires can be that little jolt that creates that excitement. It's like the perfect intersection of fast and fun. I like to go fast and I like to have fun, and so far these tires have allowed me to do both in nearly equal parts. And hopefully that same is true for other people that are riding them.